You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our top 5 of my favorite characters of all time to this point in the series of The Walking Dead. Yes. So this list will include some people who are not here, unfortunately, anymore, and some who are. And here we go. Starting at number 5, Daryl Dixon. Yes, Daryl Dixon. Probably a little surprising for some Daryl Dixon fans out there who would probably expect him to be number 1, but there are some other characters that I like more. But one of the reasons I like Daryl is not for the common reasons that most people like him, you know, whether he's a badass or he's cool or whatever the case may be. I actually like Daryl a lot because he, in and of himself, is a leader. He is one of those leaders that's not vocal. He's quiet. He leads by example. And the other thing I like about this character is how he's grown and developed from season 1 to season 5. To give it even more credit, I have to even take it down to the writers of the show who have been able to incorporate such a very captivating character in many different ways, whether he's a badass or whatever the case may be, because he was not in the comic. He was never in the comic. So I like, you know, from season 1, he's a loudmouth, he's a roughneck. And then as it progresses, he lets his defenses down. He becomes more open. He speaks openly even about his feelings. You know, maybe in not such a common way, a little bit more rugged and rough around the edges. But it's such a growth. And I think, to me, I really enjoyed that, especially knowing that he wasn't in the comics, knowing that that character was not in the comics, to be able to integrate him into the story the way they have. And on top of that, make it a character that is probably the most popular character on the show is a credit to the writers and is a credit to Norman Reedus, who is portraying the character. Very, very good job acting. So, yeah, I like Daryl Dixon a lot because he's a quiet leader. He's always calm. He's always calm, and he's had his moments. He's had his moments of you know, weak vulnerability, you know, when Merle died and stuff like that, or when he found Merle turned. But yeah, overall, I have to say, like, I think character-wise, when I look at him from all those dimensions and all those angles, he's actually a character I very much admire because of the change and the growth that he's had over the course of the series. So, number 5 is Daryl Dixon. Alright, so moving on to number 4. Number 4 has to be Michonne, and almost for similar reasons to Daryl. And the reason I like Michonne so much is because she brings a level of complexity to the show, because she's so quiet, she's so, another one, very calm, that it's gravitating. You know, that silence, that expression on the face, very captivating. You want to know more. It draws you in. And once we finally got to see a little bit of what Michonne was about in season 4, it just made you want more. It made you want more. And, you know, she, aside from the fact that she's another badass, and she's another character that's no nonsense, another leader by example. But what I like about her is that you've already seen, and you see this more with Carl than anybody else, you see that while she is that rough also around the edges, and she's very, you know, action, you know, kick ass and stuff like that, she's also very sincere. She's very kind-hearted. She's just a good person. You know that she's a good person behind all those rough edges. And you see that when she interacts with Carl, you know, bringing him comic books, playing games with him, you know, things like that. And almost being like a mother figure / sister figure. Sometimes it depends, you know what I mean? But I like her a lot because of that complexity that she brings into the show that all the other characters, in my opinion, just do not have. And because of that, it makes her, at times, the character with the most gravitational pull towards them, and that's one of the things I love about her. So Michonne is my number 4. Okay, so number 3. Number 3 is going to be Herschel Green. Yes, how could you not love Herschel? And I've always liked Herschel, even when he was a bit of a prick back on the farm. But he had such, I admired the character because of his convictions. They were very strong. And it was unfortunate how he had to find out the hard way that these were monsters now, or zombies. They weren't human anymore. And then from that point on, you saw his breakdown. You almost saw him give up, and then he came back. And then he came back strong. You know, he started becoming more of a leader himself, kind of like the father figure of the whole group, keeping morals in play. He was the tie that bind the moral thought process that is probably gone now for season 5, as I think we can expect that. But he definitely was the one that was like a father figure to Rick, a guide, a leader for Rick, the kind of person that Rick can go to for wisdom. And it's unfortunate he's gone now. It's unfortunate that he had to be used as an example to try and, you know, for the governor to take over the jail. But, yeah, he just had some of the greatest moments on the show. And if you watch season 2 up until season 4 at the time of his demise, you see that growth. There's such a change in him. You know, he was so stern, so this is my farm, my rules, my way, my say, that kind of deal, that he was just and very reluctant to help the group at that time, that he just gave everything at some point. And it's another character I like so much. And as a character, I admire so much, not only for the change, but for to keep on going where other people might have given up. So I love Herschel. Hated the scene, but he's my number 3. Okay, so at number 2, the governor. Yes, the governor. I love a good villain. But the governor to me was more than just a villain. He was a broken man. He was a man that I felt possibly in the world before the zombie apocalypse was a family man, loved his wife, loved his daughter. Maybe he wasn't too happy with his job, and maybe there were certain things that went on in his head that, like, I want to kill that guy. But obviously he knows that that's wrong. You know, there's law enforcement in place. And I think we saw some of those elements with his solo episodes last season, you know, season 4. And not to say that the governor had ever left at some point. The governor was always there. We all know this. But we saw a motivation at some point that became more than just about revenge. I think at the very tail end, when he was going for the jail, it switched back to, oh, this is Rick. These are the people who ruined me. But I really do think before that, it was about helping the little girl. It was about Lily and that whole little family. And it snapped after a while. You know what I mean? He snapped. He went back to the governor. But David Morrissey did such a good job with that character. And I admire that villain so much because he reminds me of famous villains like Darth Vader, that they once had a good heart. They were not always completely evil. They transitioned that way because of circumstances. They made wrong choices. They snapped and reacted the wrong way, and they let it consume them. And that's why I like the governor. I think he's a very conflicted character, and he's right now my favorite villain in terms of the TV show. In fact, I like the TV show Governor better than I do the comic, to be honest. So yeah, and David Morrissey just did a fantastic job. So number 2 is the governor. And finally, at number 1, Shane. Yes, Shane. Shane is my favorite character of The Walking Dead to this point, because not only he was another conflicted, but not really like a villain. See, I think Shane at times was very misunderstood. I didn't necessarily disagree with some of the things Shane did. I know that sounds crazy, but Shane's main focus was always survival and doing things for the better of the group, while Rick, while morally right in doing the things he did, put the group at risk. And I think obviously that's where they conflicted. Obviously, Lori played a big role in that as well. So you put those two together, and that's why you got the end result that you did. But I like the fact that Shane was very, like, he had like a little charm to him. I thought he had a good relationship with Carl. You know what I mean? His obsession with Lori was his downfall. And look, when he was with Otis and he shot Otis and left Otis for dead, I'm sorry. I don't disagree with that. There's a boy's life that's on the line. It's either both of you or one of you. I know that sounds horrible, but given the situation, given the zombie apocalypse, given the circumstances, how really was it wrong? Because think about it. If he had not shot Otis and tried to help him, Otis, and Carl would have died. while at least by leaving Otis as a sacrificial lamb, I hate to say it, Carl and Shane lived. So, but Shane was he was one of those characters that I really, really enjoyed. He brought such a good conflicting presence to the show, and this is why season 2 is my favorite season. It's not, I know a lot of people don't like that season because, they're on the farm, I enjoyed the conflict and the struggle between Rick and Shane through the whole way, even when they weren't directly at each other, and when you knew that things were going down on both ends and eventually it was going to clash. That's what I enjoyed about season 2 so much more than anything. That and, of course, Herschel and some other events, but that was the primary reason. So that is why Shane is my number 1. I really thought that he wasn't necessarily a villain. I thought he was caught up in Lori. I thought he had the right mindset for the situation. Morals were questionable, but if you look at how some of his decisions might have turned out, there might be some more people alive on the show today. But anyway, guys, that's it. Those are my top 5 characters for The Walking Dead. What are your top 5 characters for The Walking Dead? And if you are willing to, type it, tell me why. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Nation Facebook page.